Vinicius ditching Real Madrid for Manchester City and on a free transfer? Arsenal on the verge of pulling the trigger on Arteta? What's happening behind the scenes at the Emirates? Tottenham is going after Milan's top striker. Flick wants a new defender for Barcelona? Genius move or disaster waiting to happen? Goretzka picked his Premier League destination, and believe me, you won't see it coming. All this and much more in today's episode. Slam that like button and let's dive into the maddest transfer rumors right now. Barcelona have made their decision. The defensive priority is set. Gonçalo Inacio from Sporting Lisbon is now the Catalans' #1 target for next summer. Sporting director Deco is operating quietly, but make no mistake, he means business. He's convinced this Portuguese defender has the exact qualities to become the new backbone of Barca's backline for years to come. This transfer necessity has been obvious for a long time. Despite some improvement, Hansi Flick's side keeps exposing cracks at key moments in La Liga. That issue was on full display against Atletico Madrid. Flick has been blunt about it. The defense is the top priority, and targeting Inacio is no accident. Barca scouts have been tracking the defender for months, watching him evolve in the Portuguese league and in Europe. His profile is a tailor-made match for Flick's philosophy. Gonçalo is a left-footed center-back with exquisite distribution and a rare ability to anticipate the play before it happens. In Barcelona's system, where build-up starts from the goalkeeper, that is an absolutely non-negotiable skill. Deco sees Inacio not as a prospect for the future, but as a finished product ready to deliver immediately. His Champions League pedigree and leadership role at Sporting speak volumes. The club is confident his tactical maturity means he can adjust to La Liga's tempo without any adaptation period. But as usual with the Catalans, a major financial hurdle stands in the way. According to Fichajes, the Lions have no intention of offering discounts. Sporting have set a price tag in the region of 60 to 70 million euros. For a Barcelona still shackled by strict financial fair play limits, that's a daunting figure. Inacio is under contract and a central piece of the Lisbon club's project. There's zero rush to sell, and the message from Portugal is loud and clear. Trigger the release clause or come very close. No payment plans, no creative swap deals. For Hansi Flick, landing Inacio is a strategic necessity. The German wants a center-back capable of holding an extremely high line while covering the space in behind. This season, Barca have been punished time and again by rapid opposition forwards and lightning counterattacks. Gonçalo's recovery pace is the answer to that vulnerability. On top of that, his composure on the ball under pressure would smooth out the transition from defense to attack. Flick wants a cornerstone player, someone who doesn't just defend but dictates the game and projects confidence. Deco is completely on board, believing Inacio is ripe for the biggest step in his career. But the market for elite defenders is red hot. Prices for quality CBs have skyrocketed, and Gonçalo's form hasn't gone unnoticed outside of Barcelona. English clubs are circling, and that piles the pressure on the Catalans. If Barca can't figure out how to balance their books and table an offer soon, competitors could simply blow them out of the water financially. Inacio is an ambitious, expensive gamble. If the Catalans pull this off, they'll have a defensive leader for the next decade. If they don't, it's back to plugging holes and settling for backup options that could fail them again on crunch Champions League nights. Let's see if Deco has enough pull and if the club has enough cash to bring the Portuguese star to the Catalan capital. Vinicius Jr. is rapidly transitioning from Real Madrid's golden boy and perennial Ballon d'Or contender to the biggest headache on Florentino Perez's desk. You'd assume that after finally wrapping up the never-ending Kylian Mbappé soap opera, the Bernabeu offices would enjoy some peace. Think again. The Vini story is the hottest topic in the Spanish press right now, and the headlines are anything but encouraging. First off, the Brazilian is enduring a severe goal drought. The electric winger who used to tear defenses apart single-handedly has gone missing, replaced by a shadow of himself with alarmingly low output. But while a dip in form is temporary, the contract situation is a structural crisis. Publicly, Vinicius continues to profess his love for the royal club. But behind closed doors, the narrative is completely different. With his contract winding down, absolutely nothing has changed. The sticking point is money. The Brazilian currently pockets 18 million euros annually. Los Blancos are prepared to bump that to 20 million, but Vinicius deems that insufficient. He wants a salary that matches Mbappé's. And while Real are attempting to maintain financial discipline, the player isn't budging an inch, sticking to rehearsed media soundbites. For Madrid's executives, it's crunch time. If the deadlock isn't broken before summer, they'll be forced to put Vinicius on the market, holding on to an asset worth north of 150 million euros and risking him walking away for free. That's a gamble even Perez can't sanction. And this is where the vultures start circling. According to Top Skills Sports, Manchester City are already laying the groundwork to snap up the Brazilian on a free transfer in the summer of 2027. City's strategy is transparent. Pep Guardiola has long admired Vini's talent, and even if the Catalan departs, he's already told the board how pivotal this move would be. Landing a player with a 9-figure valuation for zero transfer fee, that is every top executive's dream. Effectively, Man City are setting the exact same trap for Real that Madrid once set for PSG with Mbappe. But City aren't the only ones in the queue. Nasser Al-Khelaifi is also itching to pull off a similar heist. The PSG president has a score to settle with Florentino Perez. He's already claimed one victory by effectively blocking the Super League project, and now the Parisians are hungry to hit their rival where it hurts most. Poaching a player Real have poured years of development and resources into, that would be the ultimate revenge. The Vinicius saga is shaping up to be the defining drama of the upcoming summer window. If there's no compromise, Real face a brutal choice: cave to the Brazilians' massive demands, or cash in on a star who's lost his spark while they can still command a serious fee. It looks like Los Blancos should brace for a major squad shakeup because keeping a ticking time bomb like this in the dressing room is simply too risky. Leon Goretzka at Arsenal. This is a scenario gaining traction by the day. Mikel Arteta is clearly short on battle-tested options in the engine room, and the German ticks every box. The biggest upside here? He comes for absolutely nothing. For the Gunners, it's a rare opportunity to snap up a top-tier operator without stretching the transfer budget. In the current market, that is an absolute steal. Contact has already been established. According to Christian Falk, Arsenal approached Goretzka toward the tail end of the January window, once it became painfully clear he had no future in Munich. Tottenham were sniffing around at the same time, and Atletico Madrid even tried to close the deal on the spot. But Goretzka remained professional. He gave Bayern his word he'd see out the season and wouldn't abandon the team mid-campaign. He blocked a January exit, but he also sent a clear signal. Come summer, the Premier League is his desired destination. Arsenal took note, and the two sides agreed to resume talks once the season wraps. Goretzka's status in Germany right now is bizarre, to say the least. In the first half of the season, Vincent Kompany relied on him. 18 matches in the Bundesliga, 15 starts. Respectable numbers. But the moment Bayern officially announced he'd leave as a free agent, Leon was practically frozen out. Not a single start since. Coincidence? Highly doubtful. The club just has no incentive to give minutes to a man who's already halfway out the door. For Goretzka, though, that's just more fuel to prove that at 31, he's still operating at peak performance. So why does Arteta want this? It's simple. He needs to solve the Christian Norgard dilemma. Let's be real, his move from Brentford last summer made sense on paper, but on the pitch, Norgard has barely featured. He simply isn't cutting it at this level, and Arteta knows it. Swapping Norgard for Goretzka is a colossal upgrade. You're trading a deep reserve for a man with vast Champions League experience, and it costs £0 in transfer fees. That leaves room to invest elsewhere. Sure, 31 isn't a long-term play, but Goretzka is an instant impact signing for the here and now. He's an athlete, he's disciplined, and he's driven to show Bayern they wrote him off too soon. Arsenal sit in the driver's seat right now. Negotiations are already in motion, and the player's personal preference for London is the deciding factor. If Arteta seals this deal, it'll be a masterstroke in terms of both savings and squad depth. Christian Pulisic back to London? It looks likely, but this time not to Stamford Bridge. While Chelsea keep buying everything that moves, their former player has revitalized his career in Italy and is now ready for a Premier League return. According to Team Talk, Tottenham are the frontrunners for the American. Let's cut to the chase. Why now? The situation at Milan is typical for a club that takes too long to make decisions. Pulisic only has 18 months left on his deal. Friends, let's take a quick break so you can hit the like or dislike button on this video. Any reaction helps. Thank you for the support, it really makes a difference for the channel. For any top club, this is the danger zone. You either extend the player now, or his value plummets in the summer when he hits his final contract year. Milan are stalling, talks are frozen, and agents have already begun testing the waters in England. Do Spurs need Pulisic? Absolutely. After Son Heung-min left for MLS last summer, there's been a void in Tottenham's attack that they never properly filled. Christian in his current form? He's not the inconsistent figure we saw at Chelsea. In Serie A, he finally stopped being that injury-prone rotation option and became a genuine talisman. The stats back it up. 2 seasons running, the American has tallied over 20 goal contributions. This campaign, he's already got 10 goals and 2 assists in 20 games. Pulisic has morphed into a versatile weapon. He can play both flanks and the number 10 role. Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United are monitoring the situation too. Intermediaries have already been in touch with those clubs. For Liverpool, Pulisic has been on the radar since the Klopp era, and with Salah's future uncertain, it makes sense. But Tottenham are the ones pushing hardest right now. They aren't just watching, they've already started serious groundwork on the deal. So where's the risk? It's Christian's Premier League history. We all remember, in London he only delivered occasional flashes of genius interrupted by constant injuries. But after 2.5 years in Italy, he's hardened physically and, just as importantly, mentally. He's 27 now, the prime age for an attacker. He's no longer that kid burdened by his price tag. He's a proven pro who can handle a grueling schedule. Milan know the reality. If they don't sell this summer, in a year they might not even get half his true market value. I personally believe this is the ideal moment for Pulisic to prove that his Chelsea chapter was a product of club chaos, not a lack of talent. Talks are heading toward the finish line, and if the Rossoneri don't offer him an extension in the next couple of months, we'll see a here we go from Romano this summer. What's your take? Should Spurs gamble on a player who already struggled in London once, or does his Italian renaissance settle the debate? Drop it in the comments. Newcastle and West Ham now have a genuine shot at signing James Trafford. The keeper's situation at the Etihad has gone completely off script, and according to Football Insider, the Englishman plans to push for a departure next summer. For the Magpies and the Hammers, both of whom have been tracking the player for a long time, this is a green light to make their move. Look, Trafford returned to City last summer with one goal in mind, becoming Pep Guardiola's number one. He'd spent the previous 2 years as a regular at Burnley, where he enjoyed a strong spell and developed significantly. Last summer, the Citizens triggered the buyback option, paying over £27 million for their own academy graduate. The logic was straightforward. Ederson was gone, and Trafford was viewed as the Brazilian's long-term heir. But everything went south. Right before the summer window shut, Manchester City seized the opportunity to sign Gianluigi Donnarumma. The club didn't hesitate and wrapped up the Italian's transfer. He instantly became the unquestioned starter. For Trafford, it was a bitter pill to swallow. Instead of the starting role he'd been promised, he found himself stuck on the bench, making just 10 appearances across all competitions this season. Clearly, that sort of game time isn't going to work for a young keeper. James now faces a big decision about his career. His City contract runs through the summer of 2030, but playing second fiddle to Donnarumma isn't much of a prospect. City, for their part, aren't in a rush to sell Trafford. Stefan Ortega has already moved on, which means Pep is genuinely thin on goalkeeping depth. It suits Guardiola to keep Trafford as a premium backup, but James himself has no interest in settling for a reserve role. City blocked every transfer inquiry in January. They didn't want to lose him mid-season, but come summer, keeping a frustrated goalkeeper will be a much tougher task. The frontrunner for Trafford is Newcastle. Their project needs a new number one for the long haul, and Trafford checks every box. Meanwhile, West Ham are keeping a close eye on developments. The Hammers have issues of their own. Mads Hermansen, brought in from Leicester, has plainly not handled the pressure and hasn't met expectations. The club needs somebody who'll either push for the starting job or claim it entirely. Trafford fits that bill perfectly. At the Etihad, he's got no future while Donnarumma's around, so switching clubs is the only sensible way to keep his career on track. In all likelihood, we'll see intense negotiations this summer, and City will have to either offer the kid guarantees they can't give or let him leave for a serious fee. For Newcastle and West Ham, this is the ideal moment to secure the goalkeeping position for years ahead. We'll see who proves more determined when it comes to dealing with the Manchester hierarchy. Arda Güler's future at Real Madrid? Suddenly, it's hanging in the balance. Spanish media reports say the Turkish playmaker is genuinely considering an exit, and the primary reason is the turmoil in the Real Madrid dugout. Javi Alonso got sacked, the club still doesn't have a permanent manager, and with Alvaro Arbeloa running things on an interim basis, Güler has serious reservations about his role going forward. Arda thrived under Alonso. He was progressing steadily, making a visible impact on matches. But once Arbeloa stepped in, the dynamic shifted. Güler fears that under the new regime, he'll remain stuck as a future investment and never become a guaranteed starter. That uncertainty? It instantly put the Premier League heavyweights on high alert. The list of clubs chasing the 20-year-old is extensive. Arsenal and Chelsea lead the pack. Liverpool, Manchester United, and Tottenham are all watching closely too. In England, he's viewed as the ideal signing, versatile, tactically sharp, and built to handle congested fixtures. For Liverpool especially, landing a creative spark of that caliber looks like a golden chance to boost their attacking options. Remember, Florentino Perez went all out in 2023 to hijack the deal for Güler from rival clubs, paying €20 million. Since then, the kid has only gotten better and more valuable. Perez's stance right now is firm. He still considers Arda the future of Real Madrid and won't even entertain offers, no matter how much interest comes from Britain. But here's the thing. When you actually look at the numbers, the narrative about Güler being unhappy doesn't quite stack up. This season, through all the coaching drama, Arda has started most games across every major tournament. That shows the club relies on him. In all likelihood, these exit rumors are his camp trying to force the board's hand into naming a permanent coach. Güler wants clarity. Who's taking charge? And where does he fit in the new blueprint? Bottom line, a summer move still looks unlikely. Real Madrid aren't the type to cash in on their brightest young talents when things get rocky. But if the coaching appointment drags on and Arbeloa starts benching him, English clubs could absolutely make this one of the summer's biggest sagas. For now, everything hinges on how fast Perez picks Alonso's replacement and what assurances he gives to Güler. Patience at the Emirates Stadium? It looks like it has finally run dry. According to Give Me Sport, Arsenal's hierarchy has delivered the ultimate ultimatum to Mikel Arteta. Trust has run out, and the project only continues if the club wins the league this season. The Gunners are still top of the table, sure, but the board isn't willing to excuse a lack of ruthlessness in big moments anymore, not like they used to. Mikel Arteta gets it, this time putting up a valiant effort until the final weeks won't cut it. He took over back in 2019, gave fans hope again, implemented eye-catching football, but in almost 7 years, he hasn't brought home a truly major trophy. The feeling in London is clear. The era of building is done. Now they want silverware. And to strip the manager of any excuses, Arsenal went all in last summer, splashing a staggering €294 million. The squad got sharp, targeted upgrades. Think about it, Arsenal need to spend close to $300 million to keep their fans happy. Me? I just need one subscription from you to keep you happy with content. And it costs exactly €0. Pretty good deal, right? So go ahead, complete your transfer into the subscriber list while we go through the new arrivals. Players like Martin Zubimendi and Victor Gyökeres were signed with one clear mission: to be the missing pieces that finally break the trophy drought in the Premier League. Zubimendi was meant to bring structure to midfield. Gyökeres was expected to provide the clinical finishing that was so desperately missing in past title races. Beyond that, Eberechi Eze and Noni Madueke were added for attacking variety. They're there to help the team avoid the creative droughts and flat spells that kept popping up in the second halves of recent seasons. Even the backline got attention. Piero Hincapié and Christian Mosquera came in and gave Arteta serious squad depth. Mikel now has 2 quality options for every single position. In the board's eyes, that's everything you need to win. The table looks favorable for Arsenal right now, but there's zero room for comfort. After 26 games, the Gunners are first with 57 points. They're 4 points clear of their closest challengers, but Manchester City and Aston Villa are right there waiting for any slip-up. The board's hard line makes perfect sense. When you invest this much money, you expect a title in return. Another silver medal won't be treated as progress. It'll be treated as failure. The club's view is straightforward. If you lead for most of the season and still lose the title in May, the problem is leadership. If Arsenal don't lift the cup, the club will start searching for a new path. Every remaining match day is now a personal test for Arteta and his methods. The Spaniard faces the biggest challenge of his career. Either he proves he's a top-level coach who can win titles, or he walks. Yes, the team looks strong overall. They play modern, commanding football. But Arsenal always seem to come up short when it matters most. 7 years is a massive stretch in today's game. Arteta's been given more time than almost any top European club would ever offer. The spending has been more than generous, the roster is world-class. It feels like the Gunners' bosses have simply run out of patience. But that opens up a much harder question. If not Arteta, then who? Imagine Arsenal do swing the axe this summer. Who replaces him without dismantling years of work? Managers at that level are barely available. Chase Xabi Alonso? Every big club in Europe wants him. Bring in Xavi? That's questionable at best. Honestly, right now it's tough to think of a single name who could walk in and guarantee better results with this Arsenal squad. So what's your take? What should the board do here? Does Arteta deserve another chance if he finishes second again? Or are 7 years genuinely the breaking point? Drop your thoughts in the comments on who you'd bring in if the Spaniard goes. I really want to hear what you think, because the situation in London right now is a true stalemate. Win or get sacked. There is no middle ground. Juventus are plotting one of the biggest free transfer coups of next summer. They have Bernardo Silva firmly in their sights as his contract ticks down to its final months. According to Caught Offside, as the Portuguese maestro approaches free agency, belief at the Etihad that he will stay is fading fast. Bernardo has added fuel to the fire himself, publicly stating he's already made a decision on his future. And judging by the resigned mood among City fans, it's becoming clear that decision doesn't involve a new deal. At 31, Silva remains the engine that makes Pep Guardiola's system purr. His versatility is a manager's dream. He can graft in central midfield, drift out to the wing, or drop deep to orchestrate play. But City have started a generational transition, and with fresh talent arriving, the question of the veteran's future has reached a critical juncture. Silva was previously heavily linked with Barcelona and PSG, but now the old lady has stormed into the race for this elite free agent. For the Bianconeri, this move looks like the perfect antidote to their mounting issues. After a turbulent run of form, the Turin Giants are desperate for a leader to bring order to their creative chaos. Bernardo's technical wizardry and vast big-game experience are exactly the foundation the club needs to climb back to the summit of Italian and European football. Juve have made their intentions crystal clear. They are not messing around. The club's hierarchy has already held initial discussions with the players' camp. They are prepared to table a compelling offer, specifically a 2-year deal. Interestingly, Manchester City aren't ready to let their midfield general walk away without a fight and have prepared a matching 2-year extension to keep him during this rebuild. But it appears Bernardo is lured by the prospect of a new challenge. After years in the relentless Premier League, he might opt for the tactical chess match of Serie A, where his football IQ would be even more lethal. While Barca and Paris monitor the situation, Juventus are pushing hard to cement their status as the frontrunners. If this deal goes through, Juve won't just gain a player. They'll acquire an on-field brain for the entire squad without paying a single euro in transfer fees. We'll see if the Turin side can make a pitch convincing enough to lure the Portuguese star to Serie A.